So if we recall the same example from the previous lecture that I had 30k as number of employees, out of which I have taken only 100 employees, for which I have taken the average compute time, and my value come out to be 36.6 minutes for them, and the standard deviation comes out to be 10 minutes. Now then I said that maybe I can add plus minus some margin of error here, and which is going to be give me some confidence that what is with what confidence I can say that this is going to be my mean value. So now let's understand few more things with the same kind of flow. So in this case, if I ask you to compute the standard error, your answer would be that I will take sigma divided by under root n. Now this is nearly equivalent to sampling standard deviation divided by under root of n, which is equal to 10 divided by under root of 100, which is equal to 1. Now in this case my n value is greater than 30. So my sample distribution is like a normal distribution. Now if I ask you another question, let's say if I say that I have a value is 36.6 and I want to compute basically the value till nu minus 2 plus to the range of nu plus 2. So what we are trying to do is, if we again recall from this part, which is 36.6 sitting here, and we are trying to get like sigma minus 2 sigma 2 plus 2 sigma, right, like this. So there was a sigma plus 2 sigma. So if you recall from that, we have that 1 2 3 rule which states that this probability is going to be 95.4. Let me change my question a bit. What about if I tweak my question to this a little bit, where I'm saying that nu is less than 36.6 minus 2, less than 36.6 plus 2. If you look at it closely, this is almost equivalent to this, right? This is exactly equivalent to this. So in this case also, my probability will come out to be 95.4 only. Now the probability associated with the claim is called as confidence interval. In this case, we have this probability of confidence interval coming out to be 95.4%. In fact, the maximum error which is made in sample mean is called as margin of error. In this case, I took 2 minutes as my margin of error, right? Because I was doing plus minus 2 from the sigma. Now the final interval of values is called as confidence interval. Now in this case, you can see here that 34, this value, my actual mean, sample mean came out to be 36.6, and here we have taken plus minus 2. So that's the reason my confidence interval becomes 34.6 to 38.6. These are some common terms you should be aware of. Now, let's say I have given the sample mean as x bar, sample standard deviation as s, sample size as particularly n, then my confidence interval can be defined as x bar, which you got as a sample mean, minus z, which is a z score, into your s, which is a sample standard deviation, divided by under root n, means total sample size, and same thing on the right hand side with a plus symbol. Now generally you will notice that your z score is associated with the confidence interval like this. The reason I am showing you this because very soon we are going to do some sort of exercises to make all this concept a little stronger. So that's where you should be kind of very easily relate to this. If you remember, we have seen a Z table, and in the Z table, if you go and check for 1.65, you will get the confidence interval as 90%. If you check it for 1.96, it will come to 95%. If you check it for 2.58, you will see 99%. Why I'm showing you all this? Because most of the time you will come across these sort of numbers, especially when I will be doing that exercises for you. So that's the reason I represented it. At this point, it is important to address a very common misconception. Sampling distribution are just a theoretical exercise, and you are not actually expected to make one in real life. If you want to estimate the population mean, you will just take a sample. you will not create an entire sampling distribution. You must be wondering now, if this is the case, then why did you study sampling distribution at all? To understand the reason for this, let's go to the actual process of sampling. Recall that you are doing sampling because you want to find the population mean in form of interval, right? Now, let me talk about 3 steps which we follow. First step was that first take a sample of size n, right? So you took a sample of size n. Second is, then find the mean value x, for it, and the standard deviation s for this sample. Once you get to this, then you can say that your y% confidence interval for the population mean nu, right? So if I say confidence interval for population mean nu is given by x bar minus z cross s divided by this, comma, x bar plus z cross s divided by under root. However, as you may have seen before, you cannot finish the step 3 without central limit theorem. Central limit theorem lets you assume that the sample mean would be normally distributed with mean nu and standard deviation as sigma divided by root n. Remember that? We discussed that, which is approximately like s root n. Using this assumption, it becomes possible for you to find many things such as margin of error or confidence interval in this case. That's the reason central limit theorem is going to be very important.